You're listening to the Beyond the Prophy podcast, where we help you out of career burnout so that you can reclaim your personal freedom while pursuing your passion. I'm your host, Jasmin Haley, entrepreneur, influencer, and educator that will help empower you with our interviews, strategies, and straight talks. If you're ready to push past your comfort zone to your greatness, you have found the right podcast. Stay tuned and listen in. This Beyond the Prophy episode is partly sponsored by Young Dental Innovations. Hey, this is Jasmin, your host of the Beyond the Prophy podcast, and for this week's BTP Straight Talk, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 books for motivation, and I'm going to break down the books that have made a huge impact in my life so that I can get my butt up when the challenges happen and keep moving forward. So most of you have heard this story. For those of you that have not, my number one book will be the first book that I actually read before I started to change the trajectory of my career. And one of the motivational speakers that I highly admire, his name is Brendon Burchard. He was the first person that just happened to show up on my feed, on my social media feed. You guys know how weird it is. You could be talking about something and then all of a sudden something pops up on like your Facebook advertisements and you're like, what the hey? What in the world is this? So that's exactly what happened when I found this book that just walked right into my life. And one of the things that he really pushes is the fact that we have to continuously feed our mind with positive, affirming information because, as we all know, our fears and our narrative that may be a negative narrative tends to take control over our lives to the point where we won't take the necessary steps to achieve our goals and live within our purpose. So we're going to start with book number 5. This book is Daring Greatly: How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. This is written by Dr. Brené Brown, BreneBrown. Now, I listen to all of my books in Audible, in the app Audible. There are many other ways in which you can listen to audiobooks. You can use Google Play. There are so many other avenues there, but I use Audible. I use Audible because it connects to my Amazon account. It's super easy for me to just get my credits on a routine basis and have everything all in one platform. So what I like about this book is Brené Brown was actually introduced to me by my therapist. And she said to me, Jasmin, you have got to listen to this episode, actually TED Talk. You need to listen to this TED Talk. And when you listen to this TED Talk, I want you to really take the time to sink in the message that she's sharing about shame and being vulnerable. And for me, I really needed to hear that message. And I'm telling you, this TED Talk went viral many years ago. But when I first listened to it and when I first heard Brené Brown talk about daring greatly and the shame culture that we live in and about vulnerability, it blew my mind. And so the first book that I picked up to read was her book, Daring Greatly. And since then, I have read pretty much every single book she's written, with the exception of the one where she's written exclusively for parenting. The last one that I just read was, oh my goodness, it's one about leadership and work. The name of it right now is escaping me. Let me take a really quick look at my Audible list. It's Dare to Lead. So that's the one that I just recently read. But I don't want to detract from exactly what it is that I'm trying to cover with you. But I want to talk about a little bit about how phenomenal this book is. And what I love specifically about this book is it's dealing with the shame culture that we have all dealt with at some point in time. And we feel, like most people, that we have to be in a position where we're simply protecting ourselves and keeping ourselves away from letting anyone see the true person, because we're going to be judged for that. So when it comes to shaping your career and taking a holistic approach to where you want to be, it's going to take a level of confidence and vulnerability to achieve your goals, y'all. And if you're concerned about what other people think and about those critics who don't count and what they're going to say, then you're not going to be in a position to keep pressing forward when those critics arrive, whether it be a critic within yourself, because listen, we are definitely our own worst critics, or someone from the outside, maybe a family member, maybe a friend that you care about, maybe it's a colleague that you work with. So let me read a short description of daring greatly. Every day, we experience the uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure that define what it means to be vulnerable or to dare greatly. Whether the arena is a new relationship, an important meeting, our creative process, or a difficult family conversation, we must find the courage to walk into vulnerability and engage with our whole hearts. And to dare greatly, y'all, is such a huge, huge, pivotal evolution that we all have to go through at some point. And to get past the thought of we need to be perfect at all times, and to really be in a place where we are living wholeheartedly and being authentically who we are. And so this is one of my top books, number 5, for motivating you past the fear of failure and the fear of taking risk, and really getting you to the place of being vulnerable and open, and to create a narrative that is one that is positive and is one that is shaped around embracing what truly makes you beautiful. Number 4 of my books is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. So Brendon Burchard, I have been following him for 4 years now, and I will have to say that I'm not as in tune as I was with him as I was in the beginning, but I will have to say that I am still a major fan. So what is high performance habits? It's how extraordinary people become that way. And what this book does is that it takes extensive original research of over a decade, and he's one of the highest paid performance coaches. And I'm going to read a little segment here. We all want to be high performing in every area of our lives, but how? Which habits can help you achieve long-term success and vibrant well-being no matter your age, career, strengths, or personality? To become a high performer, you must see clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, and demonstrate courage. This book is about the art and science of how to practice these proven habits. This is an exceptional book that I actually purchased in print because I just had to have it in print. And I have the Audible version, and I love the Audible version, of course. Anytime you have an Audible book, there always are little extras within there, and that's what I love, a little secret information, or maybe they delve off away from the book and talk a little bit more to you, more than what they may provide in the book. And this is exactly what he always provides. He never falls short. What I like about this book is that really, in order to achieve your goals, to motivate yourself to get past some of the barriers that we all face at some point in our life, you really need to seek clarity and understanding what habits you need to form to be able to succeed successfully and not be stalled by analysis paralysis or so many other things that could happen along the way that can challenge us. So there are things that have worked for people who are leaders in our world, not just in our dental industry, but just in the world in general, who have been executing a balanced life. We're not talking about people who are achieving so many things that they're at the point where they don't even have their family life in alignment or their health in alignment. But Brendon is talking about that holistic approach to developing those habits. Like, what habits do you need to form? What courage do you need to show? What ways can you be more productive? And most importantly, he has a huge segment about health. One of the things that I have been struggling with in the last 2 years is balancing that. And it really helps me to appreciate how that is not negotiable. In fact, I'm going to have a segment of straight talk about some of the struggles I've had, because we've all dealt with it at some point in time. And the fact that I've actually decided to try a new form of getting myself active. And immediately after taking that time this morning, no excuses, it's non-negotiable time, I just felt so good. I felt less anxious. I just felt so centered. And so High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard is an excellent choice for you. Okay, number 3, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins is from the New England area, Massachusetts. She is a tough cookie. And what I love about her book is that she keeps it all the way real. And that's the way I like it. She talks about her struggles. She talks about some of the ugly sides of things that you kind of just want to hide away from people, especially when it comes to your struggles. And she's actually been able to push herself past that. And she even talks about a part of her life where she wasn't where she wanted to be. She needed to get to where she needed to get to financially to be more free. She talked about things not working out as she expected, and how was she able to push past some of those difficult challenges that happen. And here's a small excerpt of the description of the book. Throughout your life, you've had parents, coaches, teachers, friends, and mentors who have pushed you to be better than your excuses and bigger than your fears. What if the secret to having the confidence and courage to enrich your life and work is simply knowing how to push yourself? Using the science of habits, riveting stories, and surprising facts from some of the most famous moments in history, art, and business, Mel Robbins will explain the power of a push moment. Then she'll give you one simple tool you can use to become your greatest self. I love this. And Mel Robbins actually has a TED Talk where she talks about this 5-second rule, and it actually went viral as well. So this is an awesome book to have an Audible, because she's actually reading it to you, just like Brendon Burchard was reading to you in the High Performance Habits. Mel Robbins is reading to you, and I absolutely love this from the very beginning. So if you definitely need that push to reach to your greatest self and you need that motivation, number 3, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins is an excellent choice. Okay, number 2. This one isn't technically like a novel. This is a audio version of some talks by one of my favorite motivational speakers, Mr. Les Brown. So this is the best of Les Brown audio collection. It's inspiration from the world's leading motivational speaker. And let me tell you, Les Brown, when you need to be slapped upside the head, you know, when your mama used to be doing something real crazy and she's like, what in the world? She warns you once, twice, 3 times, and then she slaps you upside the head. Now, if you haven't had that, it's got to be something else, whether you put in time out or you get a pinch here or two. Come on now. But your mama had to knock some sense into you and say, hey, wake up. What in the world are you doing? Well, Les Brown is that person for me. Let me read you a small excerpt here. It says, study the science of achievement through the wisdom of the world's leading motivational speaker, Les Brown. In this collection of live keynote speeches, Les Brown's straight from the heart approach will change your belief in what you can achieve. This popular collection of audio recordings includes Les Brown's most powerful speeches. You'll have unlimited access to his timeless insights and discover how to live the life of your dreams. You hear me, guys, you hear me say this all the time, and it comes from this remarkable man. He helped me to remember this. It says, you have greatness within you. It merely takes persistence to let it unfold. Feeding your mind with Les Brown's unique brand of positive motivation will empower you to shed your excuses and unwrap your greatness. So it goes on, but when you need somebody to knock you upside the head to say, wake up, you only have one life to live. You need to get yourself moving. If you need to hear someone that was at the bottom of the bottom, but still this man kept it going and moving forward to conquer his goals, despite the fact that he didn't have financial freedom, despite the fact that he was abandoned as an infant, despite the fact that he continually had setbacks after setbacks after setbacks, and yet still he's this internationally known motivational speaker that have impacted so many lives. You have got to get this Audible book. So this, I believe, is only on Audible. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But this is something that is my number 2 when I need to get a kick in my butt. And I have sent this to my clients that I have coached. If you need to listen to something that's going to get you where you need to be, pop in Les Brown. And so this is one thing. This is why it's number 2 for me, because it's phenomenal. And sometimes when I listen to him and when I hear him talking, I feel chills. And you need to get those chills sometimes to really ignite that fire within you. All right. Are you all ready for number 1? Those that know me well, you probably already know what it is. My number 1 book for motivation is called The Motivation Manifesto by Brendon Burchard. I read this book in 2015 going into 2016. Now, I recommend that you go to motivationmanifesto.com. Go to motivationmanifesto.com. When you go there, you'll have the option of getting the book and just paying shipping. You will not pay for the book. Just pay the shipping, which is $7, I believe. You will receive the book, and then when you receive the book, you will then get a 12-week motivational course along with it. It's still there, y'all. 4 years later, he's still giving this book for free with the 12-week course. Take it up right now. Stop all you're doing. Well, you may be driving, so get to your destination safely. But you've got to go to motivationmanifesto.com and you've got to get this book in print. I do not recommend this book in Audible or an audio version because of the fact that when you take this book, if you saw my book, it would be underlined, things written in there. There's so many different reminders. You need to sit with this book, and this is a book that you need to pop open every now and then when you're struggling with difficulties that arise as you're trying to live through your passion. There's 9 declarations of freedom in there, and some of the key ones that really woke me up to the fact that the environment I was in wasn't going to be where I was going to receive the support I needed to grow. This book helped me to appreciate that. And that 12-week course led to me starting Beyond the Prophy literally like 4 or 5 months after this. I was like, oh, are you telling me that I can do all that I desire in my heart? That feeling that just won't leave. The only person blocking me from expressing that is myself. Man, this was a game changer. And in fact, one of the things that he talks about, it sounds like he says, when people hear manifesto, they think like, oh, this is kind of like a woo-woo kind of book, or a book where it's like, oh, this is definitely a crazy person's book. No, it's not. It's a book that's going to shape your life. And it's actually something that sits on my computer desk every single day. I have it there. If I need to look up anything about having fear, if I need to look up anything about me reclaiming my agenda, if I need to look up things about defeating the demons within myself, and this is not a spiritual book, we're talking about some of the challenges that arise outside or within your circle. And then if I need to talk about practicing joy and gratitude, all of that is within here. So when we're looking at defeating our demons or advancing with abandon, meaning that you only focus on your goals, be intentional with your goals and what you're trying to achieve, or practicing joy and gratitude, it's all here. But I just want to read to you the very first paragraph on page 9 of the book. And it says, "There comes a time in the lives of those destined for greatness when we must stand before the mirror of meaning and ask, why, having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we live as mice?" Boom. So I tell you right there, that was the first sentence I underlined. And I said to myself, yeah, why am I living as a mouse? And so as you can see here, this is the first book that if you have never read this, I'm going to say, get it now, get it now, get it now. Everything that you have seen me achieve in the last 3.5 years is because I picked up this book and I started doing personal development, and continuously, I can't even tell you. I have like, I think in a few short years, I read like 40 books or something crazy like that. And when you come to my Think Beyond the Prophy conference, I'm going to have a list for you. I'm going to have an updated list every single time I read, because this has been such a big important aspect of my growth is continuously reading. But those are my top 5 books. Those are my 5 books, whether you're at the beginning of your journey, in the middle of your journey, or you're getting towards a retirement, whatever. I don't care what stage you're at. These are must-read books for anyone that wants to instill that motivation. So in about 51 days, we're going to have our Inspire the Future Summit. Please check out our events at beyondtheprophy.com. I would love to meet you. I would love to pour into you. I would love to empower you in person at this event that we have for dental hygiene educators. And we're also going to be having our annual Think Beyond the Prophy conference. I am so stoked. I'm so very thankful for our sponsors, Dentsply Sirona, Sunstar, SDI, Voco. We have some more major sponsors that are going to be there, and I thank them so very much for believing in what it is that we're believing in the work that we're doing, believing in our ability to make an impact. So I want to encourage you to check that out. We'd love to see you there, and I'll see you all next week at our next BTP Straight Talk. Make sure you send me an email. Let me know, btpevents@beyondtheprophy.com. If you have some suggestions that are your top 5 that were not listed from what I've shared, or you can even hop in our Facebook group, facebook.com/beyondtheprophy. We have a community called Beyond the Prophy Community. Hop in there, share what your top 5 books are for helping you get to either personal or professional growth. I would love to hear it so that maybe I can add some awesome new titles to my list. All right, until next time, peace. Thanks for tuning in to the show. We value each and every one of you. Dive in deeper by visiting the show notes for this episode or listening to more episodes on beyondtheprophy.com. If you found value in the show, share with a friend and leave us a review. We will see you next time, BTP family.